Board of Trustees of Crystal City Independent School District will meet in regular session at 6 p.m. Monday, June 14, 2021, in the Administration Building, Boardroom, 613 West Salvage Street in Crystal City, Texas. Number one, meeting to order. Time is
6:01.
roll call and establishment of a quorum. Ms. Carlos?
Mr. Eric Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Ray Espinosa.
Here.
Mr. Cruz Maca. Absent. Sorry. Mr. Victor Bonilla III.
Present.
Mrs. Mora Flores Guerrero.
Present.
Mrs. Melissa Marquez Guerrero.
Present.
Mrs. Peggy Young.
Present.
For the record, we do have a quorum. Number three, moment of reflection.
Excuse me.
All right, number four, audience to patrons.
Yes, question, okay.
Oh, we got nobody? All right, number five, consent action items. A, consider to approve the minutes for the May 3rd, 2021 special, May 10th, 2021 regular, May 14th, 2021 special, May 17th, 2021 special, and May 24th, 2021 special board meeting.
Or do you know any all staying consent? You know,
They all remain in consent.
They are.
I motion that we approve all of the consent
ABC?
items, all of them.
I would like B taken through separately,
Okay, that's fine.
the monthly bills.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point,
A and C,
A and C,
my motion to
I got a
approve.
motion by Mr. Espinosa to go ahead and accept A and C. Any seconds?
Second.
Comments or questions on A and C? All in favor, please raise your hand.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Motion passes 6-0. All right, back to B, consider to approve the monthly bills for May 2021.
I have a question on that. I mean, can I have a question or a concern on that one, or?
Sure, go ahead.
It's actually, I guess, maybe one of our vendors, Mr. Ramirez.
Who is that?
I believe it's Lomas. What kind of business is he doing for the school district, Jesse Lomas?
I'm not sure, but I can follow up on it.
Okay, because we got a bill May 7th, May 14th, 2 on May 14th, and 2 on May 28th, for a total of $8,435.59. Who is it? It's Lomas. I don't know, he might be the diesel mechanic or something.
But then right now that we don't have a mechanic, he might be doing some jobs on our buses or whatever.
So what is Valderas doing? Isn't he our mechanic?
I think he's even working on this. He had a heart surgery and, but Mr. Garcia and Mr. Ramirez, I would prefer that if this consent items come to us and you have a questions that they be removed so that we can discuss them, because they remain on the consent, that means
Yeah.
we have to approve them. So you can pull them out, I mean, you can pull them out, call Anna, and that way we can have more discussions and.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know,
Yeah.
it's, in the short span, it's a lot of money. I mean, maybe we need to,
Pero te digo, we can remove it and we can look at it and whatever.
there's a book, how much we're supposed to pay. You know, I just feel, you know,
Right.
it's a lot of money in a,
I think Mr. Churchill or Mr. Gonzalez told us that a mechanic was coming out of Laredo because we didn't have one.
but is it a diesel mechanic or what kind of mechanic is it?
I don't know what he was mechanicking on. I don't know if it was buses or school vehicles or what.
I mean, I'm just wondering what it is because this is a big problem. I mean, it's just a lot of money. I'm just wondering, maybe we need to, you know, hire somebody
We
or.
have somebody, but he resigned about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, he resigned.
Yeah, now we don't have a mechanic.
I think he was a diesel certified
Yeah.
mechanic, now that you mentioned him. So they had to consult, they had to,
Advertise it in the paper, right?
For
Yeah.
this position? Oh, maybe he applies.
A lot on, he was a digital, but he lasted about 3 months and then he resigned, I think, last meeting, we approved his resignation, so maybe.
Yeah, it's just.
Pero como quiera, we need to look at how much we're paying and all that. and-
Yes, that was all my only concern.
any other questions on B?
On B,
B,
I do.
go ahead.
I'm not going to vote for B because we're in a constant overdraft. We haven't approved Serena's stipend. We didn't approve Mr. Gonzalez's money, no budget amendment. We haven't got a budget amendment for him. And we don't have a budget amendment for all the new attorney fees. And we don't have a budget amendment for Mr. Churchill's money, even though we know where it's coming from. It still has to be approved by us. So we're just working in an overdraft month after month.
Any other questions?
I just want, ma'am, can you repeat what you said?
We approve things here in the boardroom, we don't do anything about the money. In other words, when it goes to finance, they don't have a fund to get the money from. And we're in an overdraft, a constant overdraft. And I did send Mr. Ramirez an email about that, and I think he was going to address it when we worked on the budget, but I'm not going to approve any more bills until we pay for them, we know where they're coming from, and you just can't do it. The state doesn't like it. You can't be in an overdraft. I think Mr. Eid brought that to our attention when he gave us our report.
But Mr. Ramirez, Mr. Churchill has gotten paid, right? He's got his check already, or no?
Yes.
He has, okay, all right.
So usually when you bring something to the board for expenditure, you look to name the funding source. In the sake, because we haven't done the budget amendment till here in July regular meeting on the 12th, I've listed the fund balance. But it'll be with a caveat that whatever other alternative source will reimburse the fund balance.
Oh.
Especially since we have that ESSA money also.
All right, any other questions? Are there any motions on the floor for B?
I'll move.
A motion by Ms. Guerrero Nona. Any seconds?
I'll second.
A second by Ms. Melissa. Comments or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Any against? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Motion passes 411. All right, 6 action items. All right, A, discussion, action to approve the renewal agreement of food service management company to Southwest Food Service Excellence LLP SEP cost reimbursable contract subject to TDA budget approval. Mr. Ramirez?
Mr. President, we have representatives from our food service, if they'd like to address the board.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members.
Good evening.
Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
Great to see you all again. I know with the COVID, I haven't really had a chance to come to a lot of the meetings due to the way it was being processed. But we're just here again, it's the time of the year again. The renewal this year was a little bit longer. TDA had there was some findings with TDA, so they would make sure their findings were correct before they send us the information. So the budget took a little bit longer to get approved by TDA. I know that on the agenda, it said that it was pending the approval. Well, it already got approved. It's already been approved by TDA. So we just wanted to, for next year's budget, you all have a copy of the information. So we can, for next 2 years' budget, we have a surplus of $71,023.
Surplus.
Based on the, next year, again, we're looking, this budget that we're creating for next year is under National School Lunch Program, but TDA and USDA has allowed districts to run the SSO program, the Seamless Summer Option, where now we can feed anybody under 18. So not necessarily the students that were enrolled as we did this year. You know, we can only feed the students who were enrolled this year, that's it. Next year, we have submitted an application with Ms. Naomi, and, for the national application, so we can feed anybody over, no applications or anything, you know.
And then one thing they're gonna do next year is, actually pay more money per meal. So they've increased the reimbursement rate for next year. So your normal rate that you would get now, I think it's gonna go up almost $1 per meal. So TDA and USDA are gonna pay us more money per meal that we serve, so. Also, on top of this, we just found out, and passed the information on, last March through May, when COVID hit, a lot of school districts across the state and across the country took a huge hit. So what they did, USDA and TDA, they're gonna supplement extra money for that loss. And Crystal City is gonna get an additional 76,000 and some change. When that payment's gonna come, it'll either come this fiscal year or next fiscal year, but that is something that we need to be looking for to the account, an extra $76,000 to help offset last March when COVID hit, so.
Any questions for them? Anybody?
Recommendation, Mr. Gomez.
I recommend that we renew the contract with the Food Service Management Company of Southwest Food Service Excellence LLP, a cost reimbursable contracts as approved by TDA.
All right, any motions?
I'll make it.
You got a motion by Ms. Young? Any seconds?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Melissa. Any comments or questions?
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks for everything that, y'all did during COVID, the extra meals for the evening. I know that a lot of the families appreciated that extra snack that they would get, for the evening, right? So I just want to say, thanks.
Thank you for your support. I know it's been a hard year for everybody, but we were so excited too that we were able to get the dinner program started. So moving forward, we're going to have it moving forward from now on.
Before I vote, I want to see what you guys got us for supper.
I made barbecue sandwiches, I think.
All right, any other comments?
This is y'all's fourth year with us?
As a matter of fact, with this renewal starting, it'll be 6.
Oh, wow, okay.
What happened to the food truck?
Well, again, now that we're open again, we're really excited that we're seeing some normalcy. I think we're gonna be able to use that food truck again like we used to. Now, we are using it for summer feeding. We are gonna send it out to feed the community.
Yeah, I saw it at the Housing Authority
Yes.
the day before yesterday, yeah.
So we'll use it now, but once the kids can come back in August, we're gonna use it as, like we did.
Okay, great, that's great.
All right, all in favor? Please raise your hand. Passes 7-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all very much. Have a great evening. It's good to see everybody again.
Yeah, I got it, 6:11. All right, B, discussion action to approve update of CH local on first and final readings. Mr. Provitas?
Yes. We're asking for board consideration on the adjustment of CH local to allow the superintendent to hire a consultant that the district pays $10,000 or less on an annual basis without seeking board approval. However, the superintendent shall inform the board of the consultant's hiring at the first available board meeting after the consultant is hired. This is just brought upon because of the hardship that we're in right now with a couple of the key positions missing. And sometimes because the summer is a time that we look at upon annually as a repair season. Some things go out at the last minute before school. Right now, we have HVAC out. Of course, this wouldn't cover that, but this would be for smaller contracted services. And you'll see some later in the board agenda today. This is subject to change and revert back to how you had it. I'm just asking for temporary right now in the summer to get my feet on the ground.
And this is coming from you, sir?
Yes, this one's from me. Later on, we have update manual, update 117, which is mostly legal, but you'll also see CH local in there as well, the purchasing.
Well, I see no way but to vote on this, otherwise you will not have anything to work with.
You know, I would have to wait till the next board meeting, so it's, our next one is July the 12th. And I've been here a short time, but it would be a tremendous help just to get things aligned and
If you
going.
need something sooner, let us know.
Okay.
Any comments or questions? Motion on the floor?
I motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Espinosa,
I second.
second by Mr. Mata. Comments or questions?
I'm going to vote yes, because I know he's got to have it, but you'll be very frugal with prices and watch out for fees.
Well, there's a very compliant checklist also, and later on in the board agenda, you'll see that we'll talk about in the recommendation language that we comply with the CH purchasing local policy, the use of the attorney just to modify some of the contract, consultant services contracts, because they're all over the place. But I would only work with those that I have worked before,
Okay,
that are valid quality type of consultant.
okay.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. C, discussion action to approve the consultant agreement for Florencio Cepeda Jr., DBA DZ Ed Consultative Service.
We pull Mr. Morales from the waiting room.
He's right here, sir. He's already in the,
Okay,
there he is.
there he is.
Hello.
Mr. Morales, I'm going to just brief the board briefly, and feel free to chime in on this. I was speaking to him about the first-time reading on the modification of CH local, authorizing the superintendent a threshold of $10,000, up to $10,000. But we have two agenda items on the, which is 6C, the discussion to approve Florencio Cepeda Jr. I wanted to make the recommendation to the board to approve the consultant, which would be dependent upon legal review of the consulting contract.
I understand. Yeah, essentially, in CH local, all the rules are outlined when it comes to a consultant contract for the district. And all these rules are in place to protect the district from either liability or excessive billing or contracts that last too long. So as long as a contract falls within these guidelines that are in CH local, I don't see why it would be a problem for the district.
Thank you, sir. In this case, Cepeda Jr. doing business as DZ Ed is listed in the consulting contract for $4,000, up to $4,000.
And this is for what?
Okay, this is going to be for a little bit of PEEMS auditing, but in general, the business management and help with the, in assisting with the budget creation, and the last, as we close the year, the budget final amendment. Currently, I'm working not only the business management, but I'm also doing the superintendency work, and I've also, at this point, taken as superintendent the principals under my purview until we are able to get the board to possibly approve a chief academic officer in the future. So we're handling three big roles, and we always have to check for check and balance. You don't want always all the work on one side, one person. There's easy chance to make a mistake or collusion, you know, that kind of action. So Mr. Cepeda, he's worked for me before. He was a business manager in Edgewood when I was a CFO, the chief financial officer. I trained him, I groomed him, I mentored him, and he's outstanding. He sits on the state committee for PEEMS as well. So he comes with very good credentials. And the PEEMS and the business management portion are very entwined, just like the academics and the student PEEMS is entwined. And you make a mistake there, the school is going to suffer financial consequences. So we're at a good time when we came in, we're able to resolve some of those issues and make sure that we're close the fiscal year correctly. In fact, the PEMS had no fatals, no warnings. It was submitted to the service center on the 10th, and I certified it today. And it'll go to TEA for the first quarter submission, the summer submission. So with that said, I recommend the approval of the consultant agreement. I recommend the consultant agreement with Florencio Cepeda Jr. doing business with DZ Ed Consultant Services for PEMS and Business Management.
Motion, sir.
All right, I got a motion on the floor by Mr. Espinosa,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Nora. Comments or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, D, discussion and action to approve the consultant agreement for Kish Russell LLC, Alamo City Educational Partnership. Mr. Ramirez?
Mrs. Russell has experience in all of the federal programs applications. This is specifically for the ESSA 1, 2, and 3. It's approximately $13 million. She'll work with me and with the federal programs, the administrators, as we identify the district and campus needs, in addition to a look at the salary schedule recommendation that's upcoming. Because of the volume of money, I need someone separate from the federal programs just to keep continuity and we're assurances to the requirements for the ESSA. And also I might recommend that this is still in continuation with our legal, the cruise firm in reference to the compliance. There's a lot of flexibility in it, but 25% minimally has to be spent on instruction, and of course, a lot more will be spent on instruction.
So the only thing he's going to help with is the ESSER 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's it.
But Mr. Ramirez, on his contract, it says July 1st to 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
Yes,
We're closing out the budget.
yes.
Wouldn't that be overlapping? Shouldn't we just negotiate with him? And then when we adopt the new budget, start another contract so we don't have budgets overlapping?
Correct, and there's two consulting contracts. One will carry us to the end of the federal year of federal date of June 30th, when it ends. The new fiscal year for federal programs is different from the school fiscal year, which is from September 1 through August 31st. The federal fiscal year will be July 1 through June 30th. Even though it's a few days, if the board so approves today, I get to work to start tomorrow with Ms. Russell and some of my district leadership to begin the
It's
brainstorming.
different for the teachers and the administrators, correct? As far as the,
Programs.
no, as far as like their contracts,
Yes, it's different.
it's different.
The fiscal is different in the federal program side. Unless a district or the board approves to change the fiscal year of the school, which would be July 1 through June 30th, but you will be off on the property values and the taxation schedule.
Oh, no.
So you're always off on one, either the federal or the property taxes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So your recommendation, sir, is to?
My recommendation is to enter into an agreement with, consultant agreement for Kish Russell LLC, Alamo City Education Partnership, with the caveat of the law firm to approve the final consulting agreement.
I motion.
I got a motion on the floor by Mr. Espinosa,
I'll second.
a second by Ms. Nora Guerrero. Comments or questions?
One question real quick.
Yes, sir.
Is this temporary or is it?
Temporary.
Temporary?
It's temporary. And I don't see the cost to go above the CH purchasing of 10,000.
Thank you.
Mr. Bonilla, you had something to say?
No.
No, you good? Okay, so, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, item E, discussion action to approve the creation of new position of registered nurse for CCISD. Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, sir. We've had a nurse resignation at one of the campuses. I thought it'd be prudent to come back and create a position of RN coordinator that would not only serve at that campus or subject to assignment based on the best needs of the district, but also supervise the LVNs that we have. We ran into a problem this summer in summer school where the medical attention required more than the LVN. They needed an RN. We had to contract with Centro de Salud, which we'll still continue to do for the school-based health clinic. But we had to scramble, and we were able to find that through the health clinic. But I believe that if not, because of the pandemic and how things were, in an emergency, things can change, and we need that health coordination with the nurses that we have. So it's the superintendent's recommendation that the board consider the creation of a new position of registered nurse for CrystalCity ISD. And remember that we also have the IRSA money. I think what's going to be imperative is to offer this position to be 226 days to be competitive with the private side, because a lot of times the nurses on the private side will make more money and they work all year long. If there were 187 as an RN and they'd be off the summer and all that, sometimes that doesn't attract the RN. And so, of course, this is subject to coming back to the board for approval on the salary scale, what that would be and where it fits.
You're saying 226?
226.
26.
Yes, ma'am, because they would cover summer school.
That's true.
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
I noted that in the job description, it says that this RN will be reporting to the special ed director and the federal program director. That's not gonna cause any issue with that report to two different people, and I don't know, one pulls one way, one pulls the other way.
Yeah, I think it could. Right now, this is a draft job description, but if we create the position, then we'll go to work and refine that a little bit more.
But she will be serving at a campus
Yes,
but
Yes.
available to the whole district, general ed and
Yes.
special ed.
yes.
You know which campus you would want that are in it?
Well,
More likely with the little ones?
so I served as principal at all the campuses. I started at secondary. I thought that's where the game was. And I wouldn't take it back, but early childhood in the beginning, because of the immunizations and the many health issues that can arise early, it's a toss-up between the two.
Yeah.
And I think the high school has more enrollment and population. You have other health needs of students of that age too, as they become young adults. But then at the beginning of the early childhood, elementary, that's also important. Frankly, we haven't made a decision on it, but it's a good question and we'll take it as advisement.
So what you're saying, okay, we're gonna advertise for an LVN
RN.
or RN, but right now we have a vacancy in Benito Juarez, so
Yes,
that vacancy is not gonna be filled.
No.
It's gonna try to,
yes, sir. We're gonna blend and then we're gonna decide on the placement, what's best for
Yeah,
the
BJ.
students.
And I remember, we talked about it before, an RN can actually administer the medications, EpiPen, they are allowed to do more things
Right.
in the campus compared to a nurse or a medical
It's a need, it's a need.
right?
the only thing, I mean, on this, I mean, it's like Mr. Ramirez saying, I mean, I think we've done it in the past, but we have to be
Careful who we
compatible
choose.
with, compatible with what the hospitals are paying.
Yes.
That's why
Thanks, in hospital.
it's hard to, but we need it, I mean, we need to,
And,
at least one,
not all of our nurses are LVNs, though, right? On the
the only one that won't be anymore is high school. Porque the one that resigned from, BJ was a nurse's aide. I think
no, at high school's nurses aid.
Mar
A
Rivera,
CNA,
a CNA,
That's what she was. Tomas Rivera and Zavala have LVNs.
yeah. So if we can get this lady.
Junior high too has an LVN.
That-
Junior high
see,
has an
that's right.
LVN as well.
Marquez.
That's right.
With this, I mean, we're getting close to, having proper
Yeah.
persons, in the campus.
Another point that the reason special ed is involved is because it qualifies for the SHARs, for the Medicaid reimbursement.
Great. Yep,
So
great.
All right, any motions on the floor? We got a motion by Ms. Nora,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Melissa Guerrero. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, item F, discussion action to approve the Treasurer's Early Childhood Program for Crystal City ISD. Mr. Ramirez?
yes, sir. So I did a compliance audit fiscally with all the different programs. Two programs were out of compliance. One was state comp and the other was the early childhood education. Very little had been expended in the early education. This is the money that can be aligned to the treasurer's program that the district used to have for the 3-year-old program. And we would need approximately to begin with, probably 3 teachers, but it's as big as you want to expand it. The program could also serve tuition paying students. So the students that qualify usually are the language or socioeconomic low income, but you could also have tuition. Nonetheless, early education childhood money is over almost $400,000. And we don't want to leave that money on the table, so we reclassified for this school year kindergarten, some of the salaried teachers, because our pre-K is split funded by 2 programs, and we don't want to interfere with that split funding right now. But anyway, for the future in the budget building, we'd like to get the blessing of the board to approve the return of the Treasurer's Early Childhood Program for Crystal City ISD. You're going to get more bang for your buck in leveraging that program at the beginning to catch students, accelerate students up, than at the end trying to remediate and accelerate.
Right.
They're both important. We still need to continue to do both, but you'll see the payoff on this as they go through the pipeline into Tomas Rivera. The program would be at Tomas Rivera also. This would be in lieu of the daycare, which is under a license through the Middle Rio Grande. You know, I'm not saying that's a bad program, but this would have certified early childhood teachers that will work with the children. And then the other half would still be there. It'd be a full day program. But we,
A full day? Did you say full day program?
I'm getting there. Yes, ma'am, it would be full day in the sense that half would be under the early education, and then the other half would be with aides under the supervision of the teachers also.
But kids will be full day, students will be there full day.
Yes.
Did Ms. Carranza allow for money in her plan that she submitted on June the 1st, or did somebody else submit it?
Well, that's part of working with Ms. Russell, the consultant, as we see what our regular budget doesn't cover and what could supplement. But we have 400,000 every year in early education. It's not being spent. And we
How much was
And it's
spent?
neat, it'll benefit our kids.
something.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
From the 400,000, only 1,000?
Yes, sir.
That would really benefit our kids. I mean, studies have shown, the earlier they start with education, the better they do later on, you know, so.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a need we have in this community.
So you'll have to hire extra teachers, right?
Yes,
3-year-olds,
yes.
okay.
That this grant, early education childhood grant, it's
What's-
actually state money that would fund it.
Could some of the people that were running the program that were certified be teaching these kids?
I'd like to talk about it during closed session when we go over the staffing, yes, sir.
And the other thing, I mean, these kids would have to be 3-year-olds by September 1st.
Yes, sir.
And wasn't the Treasures program that as soon as they turn 3, they could go into the program, even if it's in the middle of the year? Kind of like special ed?
If you have a vacancy, if not a waiting list, yes. Yes, and Child Find works very careful with this also. Yes, ma'am. That's where they begin with the Child Find at 3-year-old.
So I missed that. Will they have to have a need to qualify, like a financial need?
Yes, a financial need or a language need.
Okay.
But we would open it up to everybody if it's available.
The plan is to do that. If the board approves this, bringing back of treasurer, we would begin immediately to do enrollment, a registration to see what that's looking like.
So it'll be housed on TR?
Yes, they have the rooms. We walked over there and they have,
Okay. And Andy will be the principal?
yes. And then we can talk about other personnel that would supplement.
Okay, I have another question. If it's treasures in the morning and then it would be daycare in the afternoon, would parents be responsible to pay for the daycare in the afternoon, or how does that work?
We haven't approached it that way because we want to be able to entice, but there'll be two treasure sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. There'll be two,
Oh, different kids?
yes, to serve more.
Do you hear any talk about any more money coming from the 87th legislature for this? Maybe later on in September, October?
I'll know by the end of the week.
Okay.
There's a Zoom legislative update.
Mr. Ramirez, I'm sorry, did you say that it would be one group of kids in the morning and a different group of kids in the afternoon?
They would be all day, but they would flip-flop.
Okay, good, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Sometimes I get 100 miles an hour.
Thanks for the clarification.
All right, any motions on the floor to approve?
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Mata, second by Mr. Bonilla. Comments or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. Item G, discussion action to approve the school bus purchase. Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, we'd recommend to the board to approve the purchase of 3 school bus, 72 passenger. I think you have some quotes in your packet. Initially, we'd like to take this out of fund balance just because of the point that Mrs. Young had brought up about operating in the red. But the board, I want to assure you that it's subject to reimbursement to the fund balance from either URSA or local funds in the budget that are already approved. We just need that little bit of time to do the budget amendment to see what.
Didn't already allocate money for this, Ray?
We talked about it, but, I
We
thought
told Mr. Churchill to set money aside.
Mr. Gonzalez also talked about, we needed to do it now so that we could order the buses and they would be here on time versus, and we approve the budget in September, we won't get them till January, February or something, so.
Yeah, but I can't issue, I mean, you can approve it, but I need the financial part.
No.
So that's why I brought it back to the board.
Yeah.
What's the warranty on these?
Usually there's a standard
I
of,
looked for it, I couldn't find it, maybe.
let me turn there.
I was concerned about warranty. We seem to buy things without any warranty, then it comes back to bite us in the butt.
Yeah, no, usually it's a standard 1,000 miles, get in the right page. 107.
Ooh, not very long to work on these prices.
And then the transmission and rear end are usually more than a year.
Bumper to bumper?
Yep. Yes, sir. But they're reputable Rush Bus Centers. I've bought from them many times. I've bought special charter buses from them also.
We have 2.
They're Bluebirds.
All right, any motions on the floor? We got a motion by Ms. Nora,
Check it.
second by Mr. Bonilla. Comments or questions from anybody? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, item H, discussion action to approve the salvage of 7 out-of-commission school buses. Mr. Ramirez?
And sometimes we'll spend more money on the advertisement and the hiring of an auctioneer. We're recommending that we salvage 7 buses that have been identified by Transportation Department for salvage and collect the money on the metal.
God, they used to be 7 cents. I used to take stuff to them.
What's the estimated revenue from this?
Well, 7 times 24,000 pounds and then about 6 cents a pound.
That's terrible.
It is.
That's the best one we can find around here?
Who can do the math real quick?
That's why I stopped collecting aluminum cans, because you don't either.
Where are they taking them, do you know?
Sure that if we put brand new tires on those vehicles, keep them.
We'll strip,
Yeah,
strip what we can.
okay, all right, because I mean,
1,000,
I believe it is on that back.
1,242
7?
for 7.
Okay.
How much, Eric?
10,000.
1,242.
But because I know like, in Laredo, San Antonio, they pay more. I mean, Wilkinson is right there in Carrizo. Wilkinson's gonna go and they're gonna get double or triple.
But they're gonna double our towing fee too.
Are you recommending that we go with the salvage?
At this point, yes.
My President, motion would be that we approve the salvaging of these 7 buses, but that we look,
There's some looking,
that we look, maybe Laredo or San Antonio might be more, okay, but I am motioning to approve.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, because it's true, they will get double or triple in San Antonio or Laredo. You know, that's just how it is.
As long as I don't,
Laredo's-
and I don't know if they're even drivable. Maybe we can drive them there.
yeah,
So I'll, with that caveat, I'll be glad to.
sure.
I'll second Mr. O'Neill.
okay, so I got a motion by Mr. Bonilla to approve salvaging them, but to consider looking elsewhere.
Yes,
I got a second by Ms. Nora Guerrero. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, I, discussion action on the purchase of technology equipment for superintendent's conference room. Mr. Ramirez?
we have our technology director, Jessica Harder here. And when I came to the district, I noticed our infrastructure and some of our, we're suffering or not working. All servers have outlived their lives, internet, fiber disrupted, phone system's not working. So I have Mr. Harlow here. I wanted to bring all these to get moving because the window of opportunity for installation is small before we start going again with all the kids. Safety, we need the cameras aren't working because of the file server. So Mr. Garcia, if you recognize Mr. Guajardo and he'll present to the board.
Are we gonna go through each item as the board goes through the items, or do you want me to just go ahead and cover all the items that are up?
Because the next 3 things pertain to you.
Oh, I thought it was talking to you.
Each item individually as you go through them by.
All 3.
Or do you just want me to give you the information on all the items at once?
I don't know, how do y'all want to?
Well, there's 3 items. I mean, he can talk about all 3. Well,
Yeah, just go individually.
they pertain to the same thing, right?
Actually, there's 5 items.
Yeah, I'm looking, well, actually,
On letter I, discussion, action item on the technology room for the superintendent's conference room. That's an aging computer that we have. It's a hand-me-down actually from a previous director. It's got that multi-card and,
To the podium, please.
Is your conference room still next to your office?
we're talking I, J, K,
Yes.
L, M. We're talking all the way to M, right?
yes,
Okay, so I through M.
we're on I.
Okay, go ahead.
And so that computer needs to be replaced, basically. We want
Go
to
ahead.
update it with a higher-end computer, with a higher-end graphics card. That'll work with both the projector and the TV panel. Item J, 2 new servers. This subject was brought in back in the fall to Mr. Churchill, but I was never given an okay to purchase or not. I brought it back in December and actually had quotes, gave it to him, and I said, you need to have this before something happens to our data center. and the two servers that run the network, our internet, go down, and then we can't get out. So,
When we had that blackout, right?
right. So it's two servers that we need, one to run the DNS and one to run the DHCP.
Okay.
And I was just put on hold, and so I'm bringing it back up because I'm afraid that, with the amount of storms that we had, if we have another set, electricity could go down and we could get hammered like at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. Nobody's out there to get that equipment safely shut down. The next item, which is the fiber optics line. This is a line that was in a conduit that was collapsed during the construction. And we know that during the construction there was excavation and they hit that fiber line. So it's been hit twice. It didn't cause any problems then. And the problem started coming up late April because of the phone lines. There's a 50-pair line in there that started breaking, and the technician would come in and repair one line, and then 2 days later, another phone line would go down, and then they discovered that there's a collapsed line and the line was broken. So AT&T pulled their fiber out, their 50-pair copper line out, and in doing so, we know that our line was probably damaged enough that all the fibers got cut. So we needed to replace that. That's the fiber line that goes from the west wing to the AEP. The next item,
Isn't it now the east wing?
it's not the what?
Isn't it now the east wing, not west anymore?
The north.
Mr. Wahaba,
It would be the north wing.
one quick question, Mr. Wahaba, what construction are you talking about? When they built a new school, or what are you talking about?
The construction from, I guess it was years 16 and 17, we went into school in the 18th, so right about that time. Because that roadway that's there wasn't there, we just had fiber underground. So big heavy equipment passed by and something crushed that.
Or we never found out about it?
And we're just now addressing
But
it.
it's just something that happened and we just got to fix it. That's right.
I'm just saying, we're just now addressing it from 16 and 17?
Well, it just started causing problems.
It's just not, yeah, it just started.
Okay.
The voice router at the junior high is what controls their phone system. We have one in each campus. And this one has failed to the point where they could not receive calls and they could not transfer calls. And so as an emergency, we set up one analog line to the secretary that answers all the calls, and she's only able to take one call at a time. This has been down since March the 17th, when I brought it up to Robert's attention, Robert, the principal at junior high. He didn't have funding for it. And then with the finance director not being around, we weren't able to get any resources for it. So it's just been a waiting game. We definitely need it, especially right now since we're still running summer school.
Since March?
Since March.
3 months almost.
They were aware, administration was aware.
Did you bring it to Mr. Gonzalez's attention?
Ma'am?
Did you bring it to Mr. Gonzalez's attention?
Yes. But at that time, we weren't having the financial officer on board. The next item is a video server.
Hold on, question?
Yes,
So when does this start happening?
March.
Wait, for months.
March 17th.
Churchill?
Churchill wasn't,
No, he was on FMLA.
and I couldn't get anything from the finance
From the,
director.
Yeah.
The last item for technology is the funding for video server support. And what this is basically network services and video server support. So right now, what I'm telling the company is that this server is damaged. We had a antivirus program that we installed on the server, and through time, it started creating problems. And it got to a point where we could no longer access any video off of the server. And we realized that it was because of that antivirus software that we installed. It's been removed. but there's still probably some remnants of that software in there that are still causing problems. And so we're considering this a dead server. So we're gonna ask them to rebuild it, but we need to have the funding to have them remote in or come in and physically rebuild the server. It's not a physical machine, it's in a virtual server environment.
Right.
It's a virtual server.
And the software company isn't responsible for anything?
No, because we installed it. So there's no way that we could. If they had installed it, then yes, we would have told them to rebuild it. And so that's where we are. We just don't have the funding. We didn't have the business manager to give us any resources, and so we're.
They can't approve money anyway, so I don't know how it didn't get on the agenda.
It's just a waiting game for us.
Can I ask him something to do with technology?
Yes. About one of these?
Well, it affects it affects the whole district as far as testing in 22 is going to be completely online. I did see where that was approved, no more paper tests. We've had a lot of glitches, Jesse. Can you guarantee that we're going to be good to go for testing in the spring?
Yes, any of the glitches that were out there were not caused by the district. We have a brand new infrastructure. We have new core switches, and all our switches to all our IDS are brand new. We have all new Wi-Fi. Then in July, we transferred from AT&T and moved over to Zayo, and having a bandwidth of 240 megabits per second, we jumped to a gig. So we're in good shape. We're at the best level that we can be, but it's the other company that's giving us the glitches.
Okay, because we just couldn't crash right in the middle of star test or.
Well, the first day that they went big online was TA's side where it crashed, but.
Yeah, TEA was to blame this year, so.
We're looking at
Well, their program, their sped deal, right? Yeah.
we're looking at the redundancy of that because usually, you want to have more gig service than, I know 1 gig is good from what it's been compared to, but we need to look at maybe increasing that because we have things that go out to the college, we have things that go to the state. We're rural, and there's also legislative action on that for schools with connectivity. That's new, that just got passed this legislative session. But all of these are temporarily out of fund balance to be reimbursed to fund balance before the end of this fiscal year, whichever source that we identify.
And in April, you approved the E-rate for this coming year, where we're gonna install a new battery. It's supposed to run 3 hours for the entire network. And the one we have currently is dead, so it's just like an outlet. And so we can't trust it. And so we're gonna have that replaced. That's gonna be something in the figure about $85,000 to $90,000, and that's gonna be covered through E-rate. We're adding a couple more switches and a couple more wireless devices. So it's gonna be in good shape. But then after that, we're gonna have to concentrate on servers. Back in the early fall, I had also suggested to Mr. Churchman that we actually needed 8 servers instead of 2. But at that time, he said, well, the budget's not there, so the most that we could run is just 2. Because again, I have all 12 servers sitting in a virtual environment in one box. So when that box goes down, all my servers go down, the internet.
And so
I need to keep 2 servers outside to always maintain the internet access.
And you need that redundancy because you need to have alternate pathways, how you can stay up and connected.
So if with the board approving I, J, K, and L, how soon you start on this and how soon will it be, would it be ready to go for the school year?
Oh, yes, definitely, yes. I can call them in tomorrow, then I can get them. Of course, I'll need a PO before I actually get it started.
And
To get the PO, I can make the call, week tops, unless they're on vacation or something. Then I have to wait.
And I'm able to approve the requisition, so it's as quick as he enters the requisition, it'll come to my queue, I'll approve it, and we'll generate the PO for him.
Yes, ma'am, yeah,
I
question.
had a question, back to what Mr. Bonilla was talking about on the warranty. I don't see any on these either. Do they offer us any type of warranty on these services, on what we're buying?
Oh, yeah. If we get a new server, those are gonna have warranties. If we get the replacement for the fiber optic, that's always under warranty as far as terminations.
And
Or if, say, for example, they cut the fiber and broke it as they're installing it, yeah, they'll definitely have to get a new one. And for the video server, they'll support us again.
Okay, and on the flex style systems, they're offering you one, I guess that's new, and then one that's rebuilt or something, refurbished?
Yeah.
Don't you think we should go like just with the new stuff, or? I mean, it's,
I was willing to go with a refurbished if it was less than $4,000, because we just have to make it for the new.
yeah, but you're only looking like at, I don't know, 1,500, I mean, it's not.
And what we're proposing, we talked it over with the superintendent, is that we need to replace the entire phone system. What we have right now is a Cisco system with about 375 phones, but that phone's been outdated since 2014. So
This one?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's old.
You can't buy replacement, there's not stock. You'd have to get it from another school who might have stock. But you can't.
You can buy those phones for about $150, but what really matters is the routers and the call managers that run the whole system. That's the costly part, and the installation. Something we'll probably propose or maybe put in for budget. For the next year. Any more questions?
All right, at this time, we're looking at items I, J, K, L, and M. I is the superintendent conference room with the technology equipment. J is the server at the high school. K is the fiber optic line for the AEC center. L is the replacement voice router for the Sterling Flye Junior High. And then, of course, M is the video server support hours for the CCI, high school, I'm sorry. So if there's no more comment or questions, motion on the floor to accept items I, J, K, L, and M.
Motion.
I got a motion by Mr. Mata,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Nora. Any comments or questions? So these are 5 items, I, J, K, L, and M. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All the way down to M, discussion action to approve the proposal from Train for HVAC units at Dr. Tomas Rivera and Lorenzo de Zavala. Mr. Ramirez.
So.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, M, sorry.
And so we've had, as you all know, HVAC down at Lorenzo de Zavala and Dr. Tomas Rivera. And then I found that we were down the science and cafeteria for Crystal City High School. We advertised, there were no bids that came in, so we went to buy board, which allows us to get around advertisement and because of the state purchasing certification of those vendors that are on the buy board, TASB runs. The issue is that we have some that are trained, but we have some that are Lennox. And there are different types of air conditioners that have different types of handlers. If you go in and to a Lennox system and want to replace it with a trained HVAC, then you got to replace the handler and the connectivity. And then, of course, as always, with any new installation, the test and balance. I just haven't had the luxury of having more time or having a lot of vendors bid, advertise. As I reviewed these, you notice also that the train bid for Dr. Tomas Rivera and Lorenzo de Zavala are combined, and those are 2 different systems. One is Lennox and one is Train. I'm going to recommend to the board that I'm going to recommend that we approve Train for the Dr. Tomas Rivera campus. Should it be all Train? That's the only campus I'm a little shaky on. if it's train, I have no reservations in going with this bid, but I need to get by board to break these out separately. I wouldn't recommend train for the Lennox. I would ask authorization of superintendent to negotiate and separate the bids and go with alternate bids. That way I can accept the train for Dr. Tomas Rivera if the price is acceptable, and if not, and then go with the pre-code method for the limit system for Lorenzo with Zavala. Because it's, I believe it's really jumped the price on that because of the changing out of all that we explained about the handler and all the connectivity.
If that's your recommendation, sir, I so move. You authorize our superintendent to do as he recommending.
I second.
I got a motion on the floor by Mr. Bonilla,
Second.
second by Mr. Ray Espinosa. Comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I noticed here, sir, on the optional pre-test and balance,
Yes,
in addition, I recommend that y'all do it.
yes,
Okay, it's important.
yes.
I see you balance the.
It has to.
Don't cut in
Yep.
corners because, there'll be problems.
It's well worth it.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. Letter O, discussion action to approve the proposal from Train for the HVAC units located at the high school.
Yes, sir. That's in your booklet. Those are train HVAC units or larger. It's a large bid, 162,156, bigger systems. If you look on page 139, you'll see that the demo of 2 package units at the high school, the installation of 2 units furnished by Train, the reconnection of drains, the startup, and, the electrical, and that's the usual what they do. And then the smoke detector system, and the post-test and balance, the optional pre-test in red there, covers the cafeteria and the science department wing. They're bigger units, they're 10-ton.
Mr. President, were those units installed when we added those buildings? Are they new? Those HVACs? I mean, are they in the new additions, or is it on the now?
The north.
East wing? Or are they on the additions that we added recently? In other words, are they new units?
I'm not sure, and I don't have my maintenance person here, but
I'm assuming it's maybe the band hall, the athletic field house,
That's what I'm asking.
the old buildings.
Maybe the science building, if it's a science building, I can understand, because that's been there for quite a while. The gym, the original, or the now east wing as, this,
It's north.
it used to be, we used to call it the west wing. I'm sure you remember.
totally confused now.
Okay. Where the vocational section is, yeah, that part. I don't know,
I don't feel comfortable at this point and listen to this extra discussion. I'd like to investigate. And
oh yeah, I understand, so, I would like to know, but
But you want to table this one?
Oh, my God.
Just to prove it, but allow him to
verify.
verify.
I think that we need to approve it because,
Hot, and these kids have a long way to go in summer school.
This is for high school.
Yes.
High school.
Still, aren't they having classes over there?
No, they're at the junior.
There's junior high, summer school.
We need to do this. The companies are gonna back out on us on pricing.
Well, the good thing it's by board, so.
Oh, okay.
Lock minimum of that, but I want to.
a motion, then if I may make a motion, then a motion that we go with recommendation of Mr. Ramirez, but that he checks to see on.
Verify.
What they are, and see if they have warranties, because if they're in the new sections, we just paid for them not too long ago. I mean, we shouldn't be having any of those kind of issues.
I would hope not, because then that's a lack of upkeep too, or it was bad from the beginning. Could be anything as far as voltage or,
Yeah, okay.
we will check and verify and report back to the board.
All right.
I got a motion by Mr. Bonilla. Any seconds?
I second.
Got a second by Mr. Mata. Any other comments or questions?
I have a comment. On the last bid that we just approved for 50-something thousand or whatever, I know that there's a limit for the bonds and stuff like that. I don't think you need any 250,000 maybe, I don't know what the limit is. But this one is a little bit higher. Can you check, Mr. Ramirez, if, if we need to have any type of payment or performance bond on train, since the bid is over 100,000? I really don't remember or don't know what the limits are.
If I buy through buy board, which I'm gonna verify, they have to have the performance bond.
Okay.
If they don't, then we won't execute the contract.
Because it says here that they're not included.
Because I put Irene when I didn't have any bids, then I asked her about buy board, because I know buy board.
Okay.
And, buy board vendors will come. The only trouble you run into with HVAC is supply, because of the pandemic and the shipping and all that, and sometimes what they get out of the manufacturer, but I will verify that, and I wouldn't.
And the only reason I ask you is if, unless that this company is not asking you for any money, because really, we pay for it. The school will pay
Yes.
if we require the payment bond, guess what? We're gonna pay for it. The bid's gonna go higher.
Yes.
But they don't ask us like for any money up front or whatever. I mean, that's really why the performance and the payment bonds are for.
Yes, ma'am.
But if they carry the job, I mean,
Well, if they fail to finish the job, that's where the bond comes in. But,
but usually if they buy everything and it's on site, that's a good thing as well.
that's a good side for the buying, but,
Yeah,
we control it by when we release partial payment or full payment. depending
Right.
on completion.
yeah, I'm just saying that, if, it'll probably go higher, because like I said, the school does pay for it. If we require it, we pay for it.
I want to say, because they're a buy board vendor, they have to apply follow the regulations of TASB, that they have to have a performance bond. And I'm pretty much assured that the price includes that. Why they listed it that way, I don't know.
Okay, just ask, because it says here it's not,
Yes, it does say that, you're correct.
yeah, it says not included, so I'm thinking if we're gonna ask for it, it's probably gonna go up, because, there's at the end of the year, if they used it and it wasn't covered, in their premium, guess what, they're gonna charge them for it at the end of the year. So it's gotta come out of somewhere, which would be us.
Plus, the district obtains a reimbursement at the end of the year with buy board. Based on the dollar amount, you get a certain % reimbursement from TASB also.
Okay. That's all,
Yes, ma'am, I will. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, at this point, we have a motion by Mr. Bonilla, second by Mr. Cruz Mata. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, 7, informational discussion, superintendent's report. 1, district enrollment. 2, ADA report. Mr. Ramirez.
Page 147 in your packet, you'll see the school year 2021, as far as the membership of active and inactive students, the district of 1,923 active, 1,780 inactive, 143. And then if you go by campus, you'll see the campuses there. Let me see if my memory serves me right for the organization code, the 3-digit number that's in the accounting string. 001, I believe, is high school, showing 512 active students. 042, I believe, is Fly Junior High. Feel free to correct me, Mr. Espinosa, if you, Campus 101. Rivera, thank you. And then Campus 104,
BJ?
Benito Juarez, you're a lifesaver. Campus 106, Zavala. Thank you.
I've been away like for 12 years, so. So,
And you know what, on page 148, they list the campus organization number right there for you. So you see a change from 18-19 school year in a comparison to 2021, they're almost uncomparable. One is involving the pandemic. So even then, you see the high school had a 6% increase over the 18-19. And so did Benito Juarez of 11 students, 3.9% increase. And then you saw a little bit of regression for Fly Junior High, Tomas Rivera. And I want to say that's attributed to when you used to have the treasures and the lack of that too in the enrollment.
On page 147, can you tell me what PRS and CEHI stand for?
147.
At the very top, I get all the others, but what's PRS and CEHI?
I don't know the PRS, but I'm thinking that it has to do with the child find and the younger students that we serve. The question, I'll report back on it.
And the other one?
I'm not sure on it, but I'll report back on it.
We don't have any, that's why.
Whatever it is, nobody's doing it, so.
We don't have any.
That's all we have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Go ahead.
that was your report on tonight's report. I called late. I want to see if you could give us, pero no ahorita, maybe at another meeting or through a memo or something, just a report on summer school, see how we're
Yes.
doing, how many kids were attending, I mean, what was the targeted number?
Can I chime in real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, the PRS, I looked it up. It stands for Pregnancy Related Services. And CEHI is compensatory education home instruction. So I assume that means it's
There you go.
dealing with pregnant students.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's what attorneys are for, sir.
So,
So on summer school, maybe.
yes.
For July?
No, we're going to do it earlier.
Earlier?
We tried to call today, but when I asked Ms. Anna to call, it was already after the release time at summer school.
And I had it back in my mind, but I just forgot it.
And that's usually always part of the superintendent's report when we have summer school in session. We'll collect the information and we'll send it out to you tomorrow in an email.
Thank you. All right, 8, informational items only. A, review TASB localized update 117, affecting local policies on the first readings. 1, CH local purchasing and acquisition. 2, CV local facilities construction. 3, DEC local compensation and benefits, leaves and absences. Mr. Ramirez?
So the localized policy manual, you have a little precursor up front. And I tabbed mine, so I highlighted it. The policy on CH local, we were wanting that first reading approval that we had mentioned earlier about under 10,000 to authorize the superintendent and then to report back. But I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong manual. I wonder I was panicking. This overview of manual update 117 has revised state and federal rules. You have CH and CV series regarding purchasing and facilities construction. Because of the freeze that we had that the state of Texas went through, there was a lot of repairs and things that had to be done immediately that couldn't be complied with because they didn't have the authority as superintendents. So a lot of this is going to be in legal where it comes back. authorizing the superintendent and bona fide emergencies to have authority for construction, repairs, and they have to fit that strict criteria. They just can't use that authority to circumvent the board approval for CH and CV series. Also, the leaves and absences on the local recommendations, request revisions to leaves and absence policy, and an option delegation to the superintendent. If you look at CH local, on page 1 of the explanatory notes, front of figure page that corresponds to you in your book. Do you have this booklet here?
Yeah,
In my car.
I read it.
So if you go to that section that has explanatory notes, you'll see purchase and acquisition, just what I explained about the winter storms. And then DEC local compensation and benefits, leaves and absence. The events of the past year have highlighted the need for additional flexibility regarding administration of leave. The TASB policy legal and the HR services collaborated on recommending revisions to this policy, which remove administrative details not required to be in board policy and that may be more appropriately addressed elsewhere, such as the employee handbook. And so they created a framework for developing leaves and absence policies, with prompts and placeholders for administrative decisions. And of course, they put out the 21-22 model employee handbook that we will rely on to help drive our employee handbook creation. The rest are legal, and the topics range from special basic instructional program required instruction at all levels. That's EHAA legal. EHBA on page 4 is the special programs and special education. These are changes that came because of law changes or other regulations. EHBAA legal, special education, identification, evaluation, and eligibility. Had some changes, as well as the art committee and individualized education program. It continues on to special education students in non-district placement, transition services for special ed students, compensatory and accelerated services for special programs, the academic achievement graduation, testing programs and state assessment, and the campus or program charters and wellness and health service medical treatment. And there's more detailed information that begins on page 1 of 32, and it follows with all the policies in there that you can read, and they use different colors to highlight where there's changes or deletions. Usually when it involves a lot of local policy, that's where it demands the attention of the board to be careful that it's the community or the board's compliance and what they want. And the legal, we don't have any authority other than to adopt it.
Yes, sir.
Not me, but the board.
Thank you. All right, B, Savannah County Appraisal District Report.
Page 165 in your manual. You see the text collection activity report, the current and delinquent. You can look at the M&O for the current year and the INS. Total collected as of 6/2/2021, M&O of $71,640.79, and in the INS side, $29,651.69. The refunds that were paid on the M&O of $271.17, and on the INS, $112.26. And you can see taxes and penalties for the delinquent taxes and interest rate. And if you turn See I mean, at the bottom of that page, on, page number is that, I can't. 166, on that first page of the tax collection activity report, you'll see the current year, delinquent years, and all years. And further back, you see it by year. On page 169, you can go back to the year 2009 and look at what the adopted rate was. This is always good information when I'm building the budget, because it gives me the historical information on the tax rate for M&O and INS. On page 168, they went ahead and summarized it for you. The 2020 current adjusted levy is $13,591,559. The collection for that is $13,000. What I read to you before was for the month, and this is for the year on page 168. So current collections are $13,020,813, 96% of your levy. And then year-to-date 2019 is a comparison, and about that time in 2019, you were at 97. So being that the pandemic has been around and the economic struggle, you're pretty close to being where you are normally when we don't have that kind of situation economically.
Thank you, sir. C, business officer reports. 1, revenue and expenditure report. 2, financial statements. 3, new vendor lists.
What do things look like to you, Mr. Ramirez?
Say that again, ma'am?
What do things look like to you financially?
Financially, the fund balance is, I was pleasantly surprised at where it was, because what you do is you look at your annual operating budget. If you're at 25 million with local and federal, then you look at the fund balance, and usually the state only wants you to have a certain percentage. But keep in mind that you're gonna have 13 million of ESSER money that's gonna alleviate some of your local, and your fund balance is gonna grow even more. So the district is poised in this next 3 years to build a fund balance and to also have some additional things that we're catching up, like the technology you heard. After the infrastructure is in line, then of course, now comes the students access the laptops and the panel screens for the teachers in the classroom. So I like that it has that potential. We just have to clean up a little bit on our financial, living within our means and living fiscally responsible and spending money that's in the black and not in the red. But I just see that if we can focus all that money and align it to what the plan is of the board and the plan of the district and the campuses, and that we're aligned together as a team, we'll make good use of it and not have gaps in spending and long times without something. Page 170 is the actual copy of the recap comparison of revenue to budget. The first column is the estimated revenue. You have current revenue realized, that's for this month of May, and then revenue realized to date, so that you'll know to date. And this is telling me that I have to look at drawdowns and the disbursement from the state. I need to go back and reconcile and make sure that we're receiving what we're supposed to receive, and that we've done drawdowns on the federal side, because local money was used, even though it's a federal PO and a federal expenditure, you don't get the money until you do the drawdown. You have to show the proof to the agency. You cannot draw down outside a 3-day window. So when you expend, if you do a drawdown, you have to have expended that money. So the customary is to expend out of local, and then you do the drawdown, so that way there's no finding or warning in what you're doing in the drawdowns. Page 171 gives you those funds, and I apologize for the fund being cut off. We'll email that to you tomorrow so you can see the full funds. And that gives you also, as of May, So that's what this snapshot looks like, and it still gives you a year-to-date. So there's that total expenditures that was approved by the board of $28,417,463.66. What's encumbered to date, because we haven't signed off and closing POs to make those payments until we receive what we purchase. You have $379,216.10. Your expenditure to date is $24,149,236. The district pays bi-monthly, and so you have upcoming June 15th, June 30th, 2 in July, and 2 in August. So I'll do a forecast and see how we are and making sure about the salaries. This includes also the income tax, the TRS on behalf, workers' comp, and some of those items. Then your current expenditures are for this month of May, and the balance is $3,889,011.05. We also found on page 172, seems like they had opened an account, but they've never used that account with Logic. And then your major funds are found in Lone Star, was First Public. You'll see the summary of portfolio holdings that you have. Activity fund, I like the way that it's separated. You have the debt service funds, the INS, $3,186,746. You have the payroll account, which is used as an overnight, and they probably sweep to Zavala County Bank to make the direct deposits for the employees' payroll. You have $740,216.31. We plan to reimburse some of the HVAC fund and any other repairs they may need, because we have some roofs also. I believe this was the high school, is that correct, 2015 bond? Were there any other campuses besides high school in that year, 2015? Okay, and then you have those two other funds in the general fund. You have $12,527,112. You know, that's your fund balance. And portfolio transaction are on the next page on 174, so you can see the amount that was withdrawn or transferred, positive. And then on page 175, it continues and gives you a more detailed look for the month of May. Then you have the Techstar. It's another pool. Looks like an account was open, but it's never been used. And then page 178, this is Zavala County Bank. It's for the month of May 31st, 2021. And it tells you the demand deposit accounts and the amount at that time, the snapshot, they were changing. Then also the time and savings, the interest and sinking, no loans. Always have to have pledged securities to cover the amount that's in the bank. We'll have an audit exception. So here they've pledged $1,064,931.81. Usually the bank will call, because if they have too much, it's in their best interest also to lower that, but never below what the coverage is needed to cover up funds 100%. Then on page 180, those are the securities that are pledged also for that, and some of the investments. Page 181 is a finance report on new vendors. Page 182 is more of a board report. It's again the recap of expenditures. And there you can see the funds clearly, and you can see the budget, encumbrances, the expenditure, the current expenditures for May, the balance, and the percent expended. That's always a neat tool And I have a little question there, I'm gonna study a little bit more, because, you know, we have some over 100%, I need to find out if it's in roll forward money.
And this is Murray campus, right?
Yes, sir. And the rest is by the campus.
Mr. Ramirez, what do you mean by new vendors?
I want to say that they're, so if you have a purchase, a requisition becomes a purchase order and you have payment going, there's new vendors that we'll set up because we haven't had them set up for the current fiscal year. But I don't know about some of the names though. Are those some of our employees?
I think some of them are, but some of the other stuff isn't.
Right.
I mean, I'm just wondering because I know that the vendors submit their paperwork in the summer. And they're approved every year.
Well, but also, I mean, if there's something that you need during the year, not many can bring them in, right?
Yes.
I'm assuming the DJ was for the prom or the 8th grade, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
No, I'm just thinking, I mean, if we're gonna have a vendors list, I mean, we can't be, I don't think it's right to be flip-flopping like that. I mean, even if they have the material or not, I mean, we have to look for who we have on the vendors list. I mean, I understand the DJ, the employees and stuff like that,
Right.
but for, you know, Bauer and all these
Yes.
other little things, I mean, but if we did have the vendor on the vendor list and they didn't use them, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, they have to have that. They have to have that income tax thing, I mean, the social
Right.
for the business. They have to. We can't use them.
I just know.
I understand.
July or around there, I know it happens over the summer, or something. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. 8, campus expenditure reports. Or did you go through that one? It's
I
not.
had one question, I had one question in that in reference to Lorenzo Zavala, their percent expanded, it's a lot higher, about 4 percentage points to 3 percentage points higher than
What page are you on, Mr.?
campuses.
What page are you on?
186. When I'm just curious to why to be expending more than the other campuses.
So I always look at how a principal expands, and so what I do is I do a September 1 through August 30.
No, I understand that they have that amount. I'm just curious to know why they're spending at a higher rate than the other campuses.
Well, that's what I was going to get at. The reason I track it by 12 months is I want to see where they're expending that higher rate. And the reason for that is that you need to leverage all your spending at the beginning of the year to make a difference for the instructional year.
Right.
If you wait till May and you want to, or June, and you want to be spending your money, that's not good either. So a lot of times the budgets are built without the principal's knowledge, and it shouldn't be that way. They should always do a needs assessment. They should always submit on the budget, and then the superintendent and business manager go to work on massaging that to make sure that it meets certain funding formulas that we know that certain grade levels are more expensive than others. Some have band and musical instruments and more UIL that they travel in. And so we take that into consideration when we build a budget. But usually it's because they're pretty good at their budget at spending if they have that agreement with the campus instructional plan and what they're doing. And the last phase of spending has to do with staff training at the end of the summer or the startup of August. August is always the toughest month because we start school and it's the end of the fiscal year. And so we won't be in bad shape this year because of URSA, but I'm not giving a free hand to whatever they want to do. I have to see their campus plans. I have to see they're aligned to the district plan. I have to see that if that training that they're choosing is aligned to the initiatives of how we're. But I like when they take the initiative to design and plan, but we're going to have a administrative conference leadership training the month of July 12th through Monday through Thursday. It'll be a retreat. It's all the counselors, all the assistant principals, all the principals. We already have a line trainee that have been asked help from the service center. And so we've contracted to that there's not only an awareness, but there's also a product, a process that, so what will the training, what's gonna come out of it? What are we gonna get out of it? And then we model and practice with the leadership, because then they'll replicate with their staff. We'd also like to change the the welcome back to the first day. It's at the end right now on the calendar. I'd like to do the welcome back the first day to set the tone, and then lead into a few districts, but then go on to the campus through their staff development. And last but not least, the board would like to consider that you dedicate that Wednesday and Thursday to come to the retreat, so that we can also get credit a little bit and talk about the district goals and update the board goals. And also.
So they can see the regular ones.
And see the tree humans and have a little bit of that collegiality between the board and the staff.
What days are those?
What day is Thursday and Friday, Anna?
I think it's only Monday through Thursday.
Right, but, I'm sorry, but what is Wednesday and Thursday day?
14 and 15?
14 and 15.
14 and 15 then?
Okay, 14 and 15. If you could reserve that, and we'd be glad to do per diem or bus you up there in the Suburbans or whatever it takes. And we'd have we've been able to reserve the hotel Holiday Inn on 151. That's just a big area of different eateries also, so you have a little bit of flexibility. So think about that, and I'll put it down.
What day is that for?
The board would be on the 14th and the 15th of July when we come back.
So Mr. Amita's like talking about campus budgets and all that. Isn't that where the teachers, principals, major stakeholders from everywhere, don't they have a lot of input? I mean, they
Yes.
have it for their equity plan, right?
Yes, but since it wasn't done that in the spring, or they haven't been accustomed to that, maybe it was a practice before, we've got to be able to
Go back.
go back to that and give them training and let them free rein on
The
that.
thing is that sometimes, I mean, like, you give them the money that they request, but they don't spend. It's like you were saying, I mean, there was a moment somewhere of so much money. I remember when I became the high school principal, I mean, I wrote the application for the following year, and I was asking for 90,000. He said, why are you asking for 90,000? And we spent, I mean, 10,000.
Well, sometimes they didn't even know they had the budget. That's what I'm finding. Yeah, you're right.
And it's good, I mean, to spend and
Well, they got a plan, and sometimes they don't know because they don't have that kind of.
Traveling at the end of the year to.
Mr. President.
All right, E, food service report.
This is a hard report. We're gonna have to change this. It's hard to read.
The other thing on this, sir, I mean, I have problems reading it. I don't know if they have a better Xerox or ink or something.
They run out of ink when they get to food service.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't, this is like DOS or something.
Yeah.
No, I'll work on that.
I can see it.
Oh, they got their plan in? They got they're good.
Yes, ma'am.
The auditing, good.
Yep, they got the TA approval plan, the budget.
Melissa can see
I
it.
can see
You
it.
can see it, Melissa? Okay.
Yep.
I'm having trouble with it, but.
Go there and read it all.
No.
So that first page is breakfast program and lunch program. Columns are the lunch, and the second columns on page 187, or the ones to the end, is in reference to the breakfast, and you have the participation numbers there. And then on page 188, I don't know why COVID is written there, my manual.
And one time, sir, we would require them to come and give us a small presentation.
I think that's a good idea. I don't want to
We're
talk
trying to
about,
figure out numbers or
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't want to talk the whole meeting.
I mean,
And
we would
especially,
ask them to come.
and especially we can Zoom if we need to.
Yeah.
Done.
All right,
Do that.
we good? All right, I have CCISD Police Department report.
Yep.
One person missing for recovery.
Chief. You enlighten us, please,
What's that?
in your report.
I think we had,
I got it right here.
you're asking about,
The police department monthly activity report.
okay. Okay, for last month of May, we only had one missing person recovery. That was right after prom. Female juvenile, the mom, the juvenile had actually come home. She was under the influence of alcohol. Got an argument with mom. Mom took the phone. She left, I guess, with a boyfriend. We're searching her for her that morning. We didn't find her till I think Sunday afternoon. She was with their fraternal grandfather. The grandfather didn't want to send her home because mom had disciplined her and had taken the phone. But after that, she went back home. And we had we assisted the Zavala County with the runaway. And then we had one assistance with the police department where we're searching for the female runaway. One of the restaurants, the Javelina Cafe, had gotten robbed. The owner was shot in the face, so I assisted with that. I had to drive the ambulance to the airport and then drive it back to the hospital because I guess our airline couldn't fly because of weather conditions. And then the other, we had 48 summons for high school. Out of the 47, 42 were served. 42 were served.
Any vandalism or anything?
Say that again?
Any events, breaking ins or anything on schools or everything's fine?
Thank you, sir. All right, G-Band Booster, financial statements.
I see there on page 191, they have a deposits. Two checks, debits, 0 deposits, ending balance of $12,138.64.
This would be drastically lower next month with all our scholarships.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have one from the athletic booster
Did
club?
not receive an athletic booster statement. And as you well know, these booster clubs operate outside of the district's finances. They have their own accounts, but we still need to be on top of that, and we'll follow up with the athletic booster president.
The other thing, it might not relate to this right quick, but I mean, I think that, the AD and the president of the booster club, and maybe you now that you're the interim, they might want to Gonzalez, because I mean, like Saturday there were games and
Yes, sir.
they were expecting for us to do, I mean, we lend them the field, they have to request what they want or whatever, but not that morning. I think they got the night watchman to help them move tables or better, that's not our responsibility.
No, that falls on the booster club. In fact, the district has a process
Making a
where
lot of money and.
we sign the approval process on that.
I'm assuming we're not charging them, right? We're not charging.
Charging them, they're making all that money, they gonna rent me out, but we're security and who's gonna clean up? They have the security clean up, they're supposed to do their clean up, they're supposed to,
They just need to.
I mean, we can help them, they can ask the AD, I mean, set up the PA, it's gonna be here, bring the benches, put them there and everything, but they have to do it maybe 2 days in advance, not that morning at 7 o'clock or whatever.
Correct.
Maybe you could meet with the AD and early, the president, and kind of organize what needs to happen so that.
I met with the athletic director this morning, but I'm gonna meet with the athletic director and the booster club.
Yeah, together so they know, I mean,
And then I've got to meet with my maintenance person because they sign off on that, and to turn some things on, they have to get on a ladder and be able to flip that switch, I understand, with our electrician. So we were late on that, and I'm gonna follow up on it.
Is that why I got pictures on my phone of all the trash and,
Well, there was a lot of trash, but I think, it was not a responsibility from.
Yeah,
They were, we're not charging anything, they made a lot of money
Yeah.
and so.
I agree.
Me with that, iron out the details.
Yes, sir.
All right, H, regular board meeting scheduled for this year, 2021, 2022, or for this coming school year, sorry.
Valentine's Day.
So, Mr. Ramirez, you're going to be in training on the 12th, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
so
I'm gonna be here.
you will be here.
I'll be here for the board meeting,
Okay.
and then I'll tell it.
You sure? We could change it.
Give me till the end of this week.
Let us know. Yeah.
You can fly by.
Mr. Morales, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good.
I want to
Does the meeting have to be conducted here in Crystal City, or can it be conducted in San Antonio?
Which meeting?
By Zoom, the board meeting, the regular board meeting.
There's rules that would apply to that, and I'd have to make sure the status of whether or not the COVID-19 restrictions still apply. I would have to look into that and get back to you.
Also, we have to give notice to the public so that they know.
Correct.
Okay. Would you let me know, sir?
Yeah, I can let you know tomorrow.
Thank you.
Because if we have to change it for the following Monday, we can, the 19th, just let us know.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I, consolidate education experience, affiliation and program agreement.
This is an agreement with the University of Texas at San Antonio that allows us to be a site for student teachers. We'd like to continue that as defined in the program below, number 1. Facility liaison and university representative will design an educational experience in grades EC through 6, including bilingual, English as a second language, grades 4 through 8. It's listed there, and grades 7 through 12. And sometimes this also helps if some of the students that are student teacher candidates are our own students, and they can do the student teaching here in their hometown.
Who is this agreement with? What, is that the name of the company or?
It's with the University of Texas.
Oh, UTSA?
Yes, ma'am.
I know some teachers have not been able to do their student teaching here in Crystal that are going through Salvage. They have to do Eagle Pass or Uvalde.
We can reach out and see, and we have no problem being a site for that.
Okay, so we don't have an agreement with Salvage, who is our local educational.
Yeah, I had the same question. I was gonna ask Ross if we could have an agreement, because most of our students, especially going to listed with TJC, they usually enroll with Ross State University.
Right, so why don't we have an agreement with them?
I think it.
We could have both, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Have more than one. Yes.
I think that would help a lot of our teachers.
Yes. I remember that drive well. I was working on my master's, 40 miles that way and 40 back.
Yeah,
Crossing the bridge.
I did Laredo for 2 years.
Gosh, that's
Like the-
further.
All right, moving on, number 9, closed session. The Board of Trustees will meet in closed session as authorized under the Texas Government Code, sections 551.071 and 551.074 of the Open Meetings Act. Time is